Welcome to this episode of the Catalyst Podcast, your checklist for a worry-free vacation. Now, before we get started, there's a little bit of a backstory and disclaimer. I'm going to talk about my lived experience, and I have a traditional training as a family medicine physician that made the jump to launch a private membership-only practice in functional medicine. So some of these tips may or may not apply, but for sure, no matter where you are at in your life, whether you're a physician, a PA, a nurse practitioner, if you're a licensed professional taking care of patient lives, this episode is for you. Now, back in, let's say, 1996, when I was applying for medical schools, I had not a thought in my head about how I would take a vacation later on. I just wanted to become a physician. It excited me to think about taking care of patients in their acute visits for lacerations and fractures all the way through to chronic illnesses, helping them handle some of the things that life throws at you. But the dirty little secret in healthcare is vacations are not easy. Boundaries are not recognized. And so we need to do our own caretaking to help ourselves establish these healthy boundaries. You need time off. As a family physician or nurse practitioner, PA, generally you'll have a staff member cover for you when you're on vacation. That's usually how it goes. But if I'm honest, that wasn't always easy and it wasn't always effective. They don't know the patients like you do. And then when it comes your turn to cover for them, you get a dose of that medicine. Sometimes decisions are made hastily, or you're getting to their lot of work after your long day, and so it might not be your best care. Nonetheless, we scrape by as a system until there is a better one invented. So when I made the transition to my private membership-only practice, I knew I wanted to run a lifestyle business. I wanted this wonderful chapter of medicine to be self-expressive of how I would like to show up in the world and teach my patients how they can role model this as well. So I've been running this vacation checklist for the last 7 years, ever since I opened my practice. And it has served me well. It helps prepare for an absence that is extended. And I just got back from a 13-day vacation in Europe, and this checklist still held strong. So I'm going to share with you my exact checklist that starts 1 month before your departure date all the way until you return so that you can benefit from a worry-free vacation. So here we go. Starting 1 month before you leave, you are going to start talking about your vacation with every patient visit. Now, you don't have to actually have a large conversation with them. You can just mention it. Hey, did you know I'm going to be gone on these 2 weeks? I'll put a link in your visit summary so you can schedule your next appointment, either right before I leave or right when I return. And I'm saying this for those of you that are like solo practitioners like me running a membership practice where patients might get access to you once a month. So I like to forward plan this and suggest that maybe we capture that visit and get it nailed down in the books so that they're not scrambling and they're not waiting for me to return to schedule that visit. And it's a wonderful, helpful exercise that has made patients feel very cared for and supported. Number 2, I look for in-office help. I still have a brick and mortar, which means I have mail that needs to be brought in. I have plants that need to be watered because yes, I'm actually keeping them alive, which is a new feat and milestone in my own personal life. So I look around for friends or, neighbors that can just pop in and make sure that everything is taken care of. Number 3, this is all happening 1 month before, I like to go do a quick scan of my bank transactions. I have as much as I can on auto pay. A lot of my bills are just automatically paid through my bank account, but sometimes there's those random ones like an insurance premium or something that isn't on auto pay, and I might get that bill in the mail. So I look through my bank transactions and just see over the year, over the season, is there anything coming due that I need to be aware of? And that just helps me prepare. Number 4, I review with my staff. I have an assistant, I have a health coach. We look at the caseload, we look at potential roadblocks or things that might be an issue. It might be a seasonal issue, or it might be just a recent case that we're waiting for something to be resolved and it's sort of on that back burner. We also take that time to review our SOPs for communication and what those expectations are. Depending on the vacation, I have been known to still be responsive to my email or certain times in the portal. But then other vacations, I'm completely off grid. And so I need my staff to know what the difference is and what those expectations are. And lastly, number 5, 1 month before I'm going to leave, I set reminders to remind me to do the next steps. I know this sounds weird, right? But I'm all about systems and efficiency and flow. And part of the largest cognitive drain that keeps you from being really flow channeled and easeful in the way you deliver your care and go about your days and your calendar is that you're holding things in your memory, telling yourself, I'll remind myself to do it. And that takes a lot of effort and storage to keep that front and center in your brain. So I use Siri and I ask her to remind me to accomplish the tasks that I'm about to tell you in my next checklist. And I set those reminders so that I know they're going to remind me to do my 2-week tasks, which are next. So 2 to 3 weeks before I leave, there are 3 things that I do. The first is I send out a bulk SMS text message. In my EMR, they do allow text messaging. Some electronic medical records may not. But if you don't have that capability, you can also do an email. Send an email to your patients. And what you're doing is you're announcing these upcoming dates. You're going to frame the expectations, right? Are you going to check the portal once a week? Are you not? Are you off the grid? You're going to mention specifically telling them they need to check if they need refills, right? Because that's really the biggest thing. Are they going to be out of medications? Make sure that you're asking them to physically check if they need refills, and they need to let you know. You're also telling them to schedule those appointments, especially if they're in a membership with you. Make sure they have those scheduled appointments. And finally, talk about those lab results. You know, we get excited in functional medicine with these great specialty testings that we can do, but they take a long time. So you can frame that expectation by saying, I understand that some of you might have your test kits that are in process, and we might get the results while I'm away. And don't worry, I will put those as a priority to review when I get back. Second, I continue checking in with staff on any upcoming concerns. It's an ongoing conversation. Is there any new caseloads that I should be aware of with patients? Are there tasks that we've been working on outside of patient care that I need to be aware of? Any lab results that we might need to anticipate, or test kits, etc. And third, finally, 2 to 3 weeks before I leave, I will write thank you cards for those people that are going above and beyond, stepping in to help support my office by watering my plants or taking care of mail or what have you. So now we're about 1 week before your beautiful worry-free vacation, the vacation of your dreams, where you can just turn off your brain, where you can relax and know that everything is taken care of. 1 week before, I have 4 tasks that I do. Number 1, I compose my away message. I start drafting this, and I want it to reflect the vibe that I'm going for, right? Like I said, sometimes I want to let them know that I am available for emergencies, how they can reach me. Sometimes I will let them know I will check my email twice a week. I want to be clear on what communication expectations I will uphold. I make sure that this away message is set for 3 different places: my work email, my personal email, and my portal messaging, my auto reply. And I like to include the dates that I'll be gone, when I'll return, and then also alternative staff for them to contact. Because sometimes it's just logistical things, right? They can't get into their online courses, or they're looking for a substitute in Fullscript because their supplement is on back order, those kind of things. And if you're organized and you're an Catalyst practitioner, you already have SOPs that outline how your staff can help them with these tasks. And so I look at this away message, and I like to keep it as short as possible with bullet points so it's easy for them to read. And it says something like this, like, oh, thank you for reaching out. I'm away. Your message is tucked safely in my inbox, and I will look at it when I return. and answer according to triage of urgency. This helps them understand that they aren't going to be first in line, or they might, depending on the urgency of that message. Then I go through a few action points. If you need urgent help, please call 911 or contact your primary care provider. Again, I'm not providing primary care in this role, in this chapter of my career, so I do have that luxury and ability to say that. If you're a primary care doctor, hopefully you have staff that are taking over your inbox and your results. I also like to give them another contact. It might be my assistant, or maybe it's a Facebook group, somewhere they can go to get support between their appointments. Do your patients have this glassy-eyed look as you're trying to explain mast cell activation syndrome? Or perhaps you're running late again because you were trying to describe the physiologic impact that a dysregulated limbic system has. Listen, I get it. My years as a family medicine physician taught me that the sooner I could help my patient understand what's going on in their body, the quicker they felt better. And the same holds true in functional medicine. When I started my practice in 2016, I quickly learned that that's a big ask. Functional medicine is pretty complicated, so I went to work. I started designing infographics specifically for functional medicine, so it makes it easier to explain and help your patients understand what's going on. Fast forward, I have over 70 infographics in 4 themed bundles, and you get lifetime access as the editor. You get each Canva link so you can upload your own logo, you can change the translation, you can change the colors, and you get lifetime access, including any future infographics that are added. This is perfect for patient education handouts, for your waiting room posters, for social media, and even backdrops for lectures you can give to your community. So it's time to color outside the lines and catalyze deeper understanding in your practice. Head to drlaurasalyer.com/shop and check out the infographics. Keep coloring outside the lines. Okay, so after you've composed that away message, then I send another bulk SMS text to my patients. Remember, our brains are fickle. There's many times I've read something and thought, yep, I'm going to act on that, and I don't. So I want to remind them one more time. I will be leaving in 1 week. This is just a simple reminder to check for refills and ask me if you need anything. I like to emphasize that I hold my weekly group open office hours, so my patients always know that I am there. And that's an ideal time to remind them, hey, if you do have a question, before I leave, drop into my open office hours. I host them every Tuesday and Thursday. And it's been a great way to help buffer that anxiety that patients may feel when you leave. As a consultant in functional medicine, I like to remind my patients this is slow cook medicine. There's very rarely, if any, emergencies. Those are best handled by urgent care or primary care physicians. So it's really about helping them understand that I'm a nice security blanket, but I'm not the only security blanket. And there's other ways for them to get information while I'm not there. And so these group visits are fantastic because they feel taken care of all the way up until the day that I leave. So the third thing that I do 1 week before is I review my other project list. We always have projects going in the background, right? If you're a solo entrepreneur, you might have a marketing project. You might have a personal or professional goal that you're working on, like you're publishing a book or writing an article or other things, right? And so I look at that project list and I pause any unnecessary or non-urgent tasks, right? I communicate this with my other coworkers and let them know. Or if I've hired freelancers, which I use Upwork, I will let them know I'm leaving for a vacation. They can pause their efforts and we will resume when I get back. Now, the fourth thing that I do 1 week before I leave for my worry-free vacation is I make any other decisions about automatic messaging. For example, if you send out a monthly newsletter, do you want to still send one out while you're gone? Or is that a message that you don't want to have, right? Depending on the congruency and alignment of your messaging and your values, you may be okay sending a newsletter even though you're in Timbuktu. The same goes for any other things. Social media, you have a choice, you have a decision. Do you want to continue social media posting in advance so that things are rolling out and you always have something on the warm plate for your audience to watch? Or do you want to go dark and say, I am absolutely off the grid and on vacation? Or if you're like me, check out my stories because I'll post my vacation on my stories in Instagram. The similar thing for other things like podcasting. Do you have enough episodes in the queue? If you have a YouTube channel, do you want to make an announcement? Or are you conscious that you automatically have episodes that will be released? These are important things to just kind of check. So make those decisions, and there is no right or wrong. It's all based on your anchored values and what you want to do to show up in the world and how you want to design that work-life masterpiece. So you've gone from 1 month before planning, and then we've tackled 2 to 3 weeks before, 1 week before, and now it's the day before you leave. Your sunscreen is packed, your clothes are folded, you have checked into your airline, and you are so excited to go on a vacation with the comfort and reassurance knowing that you have planned out all of this amazing support so that you can literally turn off your brain the minute you step foot on that plane. Now, the day before I leave, I do 2 things. I turn on my away messages. I make sure that they are working. I check all of those areas, whether it's the portal, whether it's my work or personal email. You may consider leaving a voicemail message or change it. I mean, I don't, because my voicemail message is pretty standard. No matter what time of year you call, it's going to say, congratulations, you have found the worst, most inefficient way to reach Dr. Laura Salyer. Please contact me from my website. So I leave that, but you definitely have the option to adjust this for your needs. So after checking and turning everything on for my away message, the second and final thing is I schedule a post in private communities. Like if I have a Facebook community, some of my Catalyst mentees have their own groups, outside. They might have a WhatsApp thread for their clients or patients, whatever community place. It could be Mighty Networks. It could be anywhere. There's many apps. You post that you're leaving. Because by now it shouldn't be any news. People have gotten multiple reminders, they've had multiple opportunities, and now you set those expectations that you are gone, you will return, and here's the person you can contact if you have any questions. This has helped me have glorious and worry-free vacations, and I hope these tips help you as well. If you're listening, I would love to hear if you have any other tips that I missed. What do you do to help ensure a worry-free vacation if you are a solo entrepreneur? Now, I have a bonus section here. I like to look at my future self and take care of her as best as I can. So these little activities I consider my bonus love letters to my future self. And when I return from this vacation, I will be so glad that I showed this love to myself from 14 days ago. And so here are 4 things that I did on my recent vacation. And they're small little things, but they just feel good when you return. The first thing is I tidied my desk more than usual. I mean, I took the keyboards off, I wiped down the counter, I made sure my bills were paid, everything is stacked neatly. I emptied my trash, my recycling. I dusted the surfaces in my office. I really made it feel good. I even ran my oil diffuser an extra long time just so it could smell good when I returned. The second thing I did is I changed my bed sheets at home, nice and clean, made my bed, because nothing is better than coming back from a vacation jet lagged and just slipping into your sheets that smell so good. The third thing I did is I pre-planned my calendar. I did. I had a calendar planning session with myself. I do that every Sunday, but I did it ahead of time. And I jumped forward 2 weeks and pretended that I was about to plan this next week as I returned. I put my hard, unmovable tasks like those appointment blocks in my calendar. I looked at my to-do list of what I might need to work on and then color-coded that and put it in between those appointments according to my optimum flow cadence so that I could easily go right back into my work week and feel refreshed and not have to think about what needed to be done. And lastly, I scheduled a buffer day, which I'll be honest, that's one I always forget, and I'm so proud of myself that I remembered this year. I scheduled a buffer day, and to me, that means either not being at work or having a very light schedule. So maybe nothing forward facing, only things and projects that I could work on in my jammies at home. And it just helps me ease back into the full force work mode that is the Catalyst way. So thank you for listening. I hope these tips help. I would love to hear how you handle your vacation time. And if you want to learn more about yourself and how you handle stress and overwhelm and what is your strengths and your deficiencies, please take the Catalyst Archetype Quiz. You'll match yourself to one of 4 elements of a Catalyst personality type, and you'll get a 2-page downloadable sheet that will help you understand yourself at new levels so that you too can work and play to your optimum vitality. Thanks for coloring outside the lines with me and practicing that 6th vital sign, and I will talk to you next week.